Okay, welcome to the round 3 recap. In this one, I played Isaac Wang, and the game finished about an hour ago. It was the longest game of the round. Like, we were the last players in the room. Game was, I think, over 4.5 hours, and it was just a marathon. I'm really tired. But I have some aloe juice to hopefully keep me slightly awake and hydrated. So anyway, going into this game, I found some of my opponent's online games. He's a pretty young player, I think 13 or 14 years old, and he drew his first two games. I saw in his round 2 game, he played a perfect game, like no mistakes, no inaccuracies, no blunders. So I knew I was probably playing an underrated player here. And yeah, before the game, I decided that I would play the English opening on move 1, which I did. And then he surprised me because in most of his online games and some tournament games, I saw he's playing the move pawn c6, but he surprised me with the move pawn e5, which I don't think I came across any games where he's played this move before. But thankfully, I've had experience over the years playing the English, and I was just following my repertoire, played knight c3, and then he played a move which made me chuckle a little bit. He played the move bishop to b4. And the reason why I thought this is kind of funny is because I had the same position in my round 2 game, except colors were flipped and the move h5 would be thrown in, just to show my round 2 game. This is the position I had in round 2 against Grandmaster Daniel Fernandez. So it's a very similar opening, but it's a bit more mainstream. Like this is a bit more theoretical with a pawn on h7 and not on h5. And I was trying to figure out what to do here because I assumed Isaac would have seen my round 2 game and saw I played the queen move in the opening, and maybe he would be prepared for it. It's objectively not the best approach. The best move here is knight d5. This is the main line. But I was trying to figure out a different move to play to just avoid any potential preparation he could have done. And ultimately, I decided on the move pawn to g3. And the reason why I played this is because I've been studying the Sicilian, and more specifically the Rossolimo Sicilian from the black side. And this is essentially a Rossolimo, but up a tempo for me. And yeah, it's a lot of the lines are kind of natural development. And I thought that maybe going into this, it would be a bit outside my opponent's comfort zone and preparation. So game continues, knight f6, bishop g2, castle, knight f3, and then he plays e5, which is, I think, a very playable move. And I'm pretty sure we're still following theory. Yeah, there's been over 100 games in this position in the Masters database, but I don't know if I've ever checked this line specifically. Many years ago, when I was first learning the English, I had a book by Anatoly Karpov. Like, he wrote a whole book on the English, not quite a repertoire book, but as a collection of games and covering major lines. And I had very vague memories of Karpov discussing this line, but I was pretty much on my own. I played the move knight d4, he played rook e8, and then I castle. Now, I do want to actually make the point, and I'll go on an interesting tangent, because this line is very common with reverse colors, and I just want to show an interesting nuance. Imagine it's a Rossolimo Sicilian, and we go into the same thing that was just played, castle, bishop here, and then rook e1, here, here, here. So this is the same position, except white now has a move, and there's a line here, knight c3, knight c7, takes, d takes, knight e4, b6, and then knight f6 check. And this is actually the famous game between Carlsen and Hans Niemann. It's the game that Hans won, and just a beautiful masterpiece from the black side. And then he gave that famous interview where he said,
Chess speaks for itself.
so I was remembering the opening in that game and going back to the position that we have here. If black has a move, black can play knight here, here, and we essentially get the same line but reverse. But because it's white's move, I'm in time to castle, and black has no time to get this cool knight f3 idea. So I thought at the very least, white should be equal, like especially given that white's able to castle before black gets any substantial initiative. Now I was still like out of my specific prep, but at least I remembered some small tidbit from a different but similar opening. So going forward here, knight c6, knight c2, and we do enter this imbalance after takes. And then, yeah, just to show if knight e5, b3, because I'm castled, there's no knight f3. So my opponent played d6 here. And then from here, it's a slightly weird structure because black does have more space, but I have the bishop pair and some slightly unusual type of options. For one, I was considering the move c5, which probably isn't great, but it's a resource to always keep in mind. Idea being takes, and bishop g5, but I didn't want to force matters too much. I was also considering bishop g5 right away, but after h6, then I'm essentially committing to trading off the bishop, and I thought my dark square bishop could be useful in the long run. So instead I opted for the move knight e3 here, which looks very strange with the knight in front of the e-pawn and also blocking the bishop. But the idea is to very quickly get the knight to d5. And that's what happened after bishop e6. I played knight d5. And then we got to a position where it's not so easy for black to find a useful move, because I essentially have two threats in the position. I'm threatening to take on f6 and then take on e4, but I'm also threatening to play bishop to g5. So let me take a sip of aloe juice before my throat gets too dry. Yeah, so my opponent took a bit of a think here and ultimately decided to take on d5 with the bishop. And I was really happy to see this move because after takes knight e7, c4, I'm able to solidify my pawn center. And now it's a situation where I have two bishops against two knights. And I thought long term, white should be very much for choice, having the bishop pair, and especially having this diagonal. There's so many situations where white will dominate the dark squares. On top of that, e4 could be a weakness. So I thought this was a very nice opening success. But as we're going to see, the struggle is just beginning. He plays knight g6. I play queen d4, queen e7, b3, winning connect 4, but also just preparing bishop b2. He plays queen e5, offering the trade. I defend my queen, and then we trade queens. And I was happy to just get a really solid and controlled position where it just seems like white already has a clear advantage. And I thought like gradually I'll either expand on the queen side or maybe eventually prepare f3 and get rid of the pawn, and then later f4 and kick around the knights. So yeah, I thought the position is just much easier to play for white. But he plays knight g4. I play rook e1, so I'm preparing f3, anticipating the e-file will open. He plays a5, I play f3, we trade, and then he plays knight 4 to e5. And then I play rook e3. So everything is going according to plan so far. E-file is open, I'm ready to double up and create the battery. And if I get just two more moves, rook e1 and f4, then I'll be winning material. So black does have to be careful here. He played knight to d7. I double up, he takes, I take, and I'm feeling good. I'm controlling the only open file in the position. And then he played king f8. And with this move, it looks like he's maybe trying to play rook e8, but if black plays rook e8 too soon, there would be bishop takes g7 tactics where the king is overworked. So black's not actually threatening to play rook e8. And for that reason, I just keep making gradual improvements. I play pawn h4. Then he plays knight f6. So this is a sign that maybe he does want to play rook e8 very soon. But I keep improving. I play king f2. And I was actually expecting rook e8, after which I would have kept rooks on the board. I would have gone for rook c3 and then maybe prepare the queenside expansion. But he surprised me here by like drastically transforming the position, starting with a4. I play b4, and then he plays a3. And now everything has changed a bit because there's a big focus on the queen side. For one, the a pawn looks a bit weak, but it's hard for me to actually attack it twice. Like my bishop would somehow need to get to c1. And in the meantime, because I've committed my pawn to b4, black now has a resource to eventually play b5 and try and just undermine my structure and try and win the d5 pawn. So I realize the position isn't actually so simple, and I'm not sure if I had anything better than what I did, but I played rook b3. He played knight e7. I played bishop f1, so I'm trying to discourage b5, but didn't really work because he played b5 anyway. And yeah, I was in a difficult spot here because I wanted to play c5, but after takes, he has rook b8, and then b4 is hanging. And it seemed like the knights actually coordinate well, and my bishops aren't really causing much of a problem for black. So I took a lot of time, I think around here, and ultimately I decided to concede at least one of my bishops and take on f6. So the position transformed further. And the idea was after he takes back, I take, he takes, I have this move bishop to d3. And I thought, if anything, this is at least one chance to try and still play for a win, because I'm not only threatening the h-pawn, but I'm also threatening bishop e4. So it turns out that black has no time to defend h7, move like king g7, or h6 just walks into bishop e4, and white would be winning. So he had to get counterplay, and he played what I think is the best move, rook a4, trying to win the b4 pawn. I take on h7. He took on b4. And here I took on a3. Now, I will admit I checked very, very briefly with the engine after the game, and I saw the engine said rook takes e3 was actually a big blunder, and I still don't know why. Like, it seems like the most natural move, like take the pawn and get another outside pass pawn. But I think the engine wanted me to take on b4, which it's going to take a moment for me to understand why this is so good for white, because a2 is attacked. I assume bishop b1. And during the game, I was thinking about this, but I saw the idea knight d5 threatening knight c3, and that's why I didn't go for it. Oh, wow. Wow. Okay, I'm not using the engine, but I think I see why the engine likes this for white. But I'm not entirely sure. I think white can play king e2, willingly get forked, and after this, it's a winning king pawn ending. But I'm not sure about knight takes b5. So let me check with the engine. Let's see what it's saying. Wow, it says white's winning here. King e2, best move. King e2 is like the only winning move. Willingly getting triple, arguably quadruple forked. So what's the idea after king d... Okay, so king d3, knight takes b5. Ah, white's winning... Probably eventually winning the a-pawn. Yeah, this is a crazy engine line. I would have had to see in the very end, I'll have bishop d3, I'll win the a-pawn, and then the two outside passers are better than the two connected passers. Yeah, that's really difficult. And I didn't mention this, but during the game, I was really tired. Like, I didn't have time before the game to get coffee. So yeah, I was struggling to like stay focused and awake, but I was able to at least keep playing moves, even if they weren't the best. So I did take on a3, and now the engine does say this is pretty much just equal, but as we're going to see, the game is really just beginning, and an epic battle lies ahead. So he takes on b5. I play g4. I wanted to make sure that my king has a g3 square in the event of rook b2 check. He did play rook b2, play king g3. And then he goes after my a2 pawn with knight b4. And I can't really defend it, so I counterattack with rook a7. He takes, I take. And I thought I'm still maybe a little bit better here, just given the structure, and my bishop should be more useful than the knight. And I do have that passed pawn that's ready to push. And I was imagining, like, if I get an h5 and he plays king g7, there's ideas to play bishop g6 And there's so many lines where the f-pawn is a target because, yeah, it's on the light square. It can be attacked by the rook and the bishop. So I think he was aware of that. He played rook e2, idea of playing rook e7 just to neutralize. And then I played rook to b7. Initially, I wanted to play rook d7 and go after this pawn, but then he would have d5. So I thought it would be nice to kick the knight away to essentially try and provoke the knight to move. So if he moves to c6, then I play this move, and d5 just loses a pawn, and rook e6 also loses a pawn due to bishop f5. So I thought rook b7, it's like a clever inclusion. But then he plays king g7, counterattacking my bishop. I play bishop e4, and then he plays d5, counterattacking my bishop again. And when he plays this move, he's accepting the fact that I can go into a rook ending up a pawn, but the resulting ending should be holdable. And we ended up going into it because I take the knight, he takes, and I take. And this position, it's 3-on-2. Black does have the double f-pawns, but I think we were both aware during the game that objectively this should be a draw, and it's very, very difficult for white to win. But regardless of the situation of who's playing, it always makes sense for white to play on in such a position and try and just create as much pressure as possible and try and create a situation where black can go wrong. So that's what I was trying to do. I was remembering a game from the global, what was it called? Global Chess Championship? Oh, the Chess.com Global Championship. I forgot the name, but it was in Toronto, and there was a game between Nihal Sarin and Anish Giri, and I'm pretty sure Giri won a similar type of endgame where, okay, maybe two of the pawns were traded, but he won 2-on-1 in some like amazing way. I'm pretty sure it was Giri. It may have been Nihal though. It could have been Nihal. I'll have to find the clip and overlay it. But anyway, I did have like a small memory in mind that such positions can sometimes be winnable. So for the next so many moves, not too much really happened. It was a lot of moving around. I was using the 30-second increment to try and gain time and trying to formulate some type of plan to transform the position. So I think I'll zoom through pretty quickly until the next interesting moment occurs. We dance, I move back, and yeah, a lot of rook dancing. And at some point, I actually allowed a move I didn't intend to allow, this move f5. I thought I was just waiting, and I was actually trying to wait until he plays king g6 so I could play g5 and win the pawn. But I think I waited in the wrong manner, because when he plays f5, this is a just clear way that black can simplify, and of course it makes sense to trade off double f-pawn for my g-pawn. And here it's really close to just a very easy draw for black. But I played the move which I thought still keeps me some chances. Rook to d5, idea being after takes, I rook g5 check, and after takes, I still have an extra pawn, outside pass pawn on h-file, and his king is cut off, so I thought maybe there's some momentum in my direction, but it's still very much a dead draw. And actually, once we get to this position, if we count the number of pieces on the board, there are 7 total. So this is already a table-based position, and I do have the table base open. I know viewers can't see it, but this is a table-based draw. I will say when the valuation changes, if it does. So play continues. Rook a5, king g3, rook a1, king f4. My plan is to walk the king up and win the f-pawn. But it wasn't so simple. He plays rook a5, cuts me off. I play rook g8, king h7, rook g5, rook a4, king g3, king h6, and then f4. So slowly but surely, I'm making a little bit of progress, creating a square on the 4th rank for my king, and eventually I want to do this, and win the pawn. So he plays rook a1, king g4, and yeah, at this point he was getting a little bit lower on time. Like we can see the timestamps, he's fallen below 4 minutes. He played f6, and I play rook to b5. Now it's still, everything is still a draw, but I'm of course trying. He plays rook g1, I play king f5, He plays rook h1, and I play rook b8, so creating checking ideas. He plays king g7, I check, he goes back, and then I take. And this is really the best I can hope for from such an endgame, whereas king is not on the same file as my pass pawn. Of course, he takes h-pawn, and it's still a draw. Like, this is a theoretical draw, but after 4 hours of really intense play, it can be easy to have the mind wander, and especially with the time situation, it's not the easiest type of endgame to hold. And I will admit, like, during the game, I wasn't actually sure of the exact evaluation. Like, I thought maybe it's winning for white, but yeah, the table base still says it's a draw. Because after f5, he plays rook a4, and there's all these ideas of checking from a distance, and my king sometimes has a hard time finding shelter because the pawn can't really shift over to the file. So I play king e7, he plays rook e4, king f7, and then he plays king h7. And apparently this is a losing move. And I was aware during the game that king h7 just didn't seem right. Black is supposed to just wait with this. And even if I make progress, he can keep waiting. And if I advance, he has rook a6, f7, and then this, and then this. So apparently this is like the key way to draw, that the king will eventually come in once I scoot out the way for the pawn. But that didn't happen because he played king h7, and this puts the king on a very vulnerable square and gives me the chance to play rook b1, setting up rook h1 checkmate, or rook h1 leading to checkmate. And then he has to just not get mated, but now I have f6, and I'm ready to play rook h1, and his rook is misplaced. Like, he would like to start giving checks now, but the rook is very misplaced on e4. So he plays rook h4. I play rook g1. At this point, I thought it was going to be an easy win. King h7, king f8. Just want to keep pushing the pawn. Rook a4. And then I realized, uh-oh, his rook has come back, and he's ready to give checks. And if I play rook h1, king g6, it's a draw because f7, check, here, check. And yeah, here he wouldn't take the pawn because then I win the rook, but he can keep checking, and my king has nowhere to hide. So I was doubting myself when he played rook a4. Now the position is still winning, and I found the only winning move here. Feel free to pause the video if you want to try and find the only winning move for white. But the move is rook e1. I did play it. He plays rook a8. And here I played a really bad move. I played king f7. Apparently, rook e8 is winning for white. Why is it winning after this? Oh, there's rook e7. So what if this? f7. Wait, how is this winning? Rook d8? Ah, the rook is creating shelter. And then I'm ready to play this and queen. And what if, king g6 is this. King here, king e8. Yeah, white's in time. Black is not quick enough to play this and start giving checks. Yeah, rook endings are very difficult. I think me and my opponent need to work on them. But anyway, let me show what happened, because I played king f7, and now the position is a draw because of rook a7, and he plays rook a7. I play rook e7. He plays rook a8. I play rook d7. He plays rook b8. It's still a draw because, yeah, the rook is cutting me off. I can't move up. And if I move my rook off the 7th, then he can start giving checks again. So I play rook a7. And here, all black needs to do is wait with the rook. Like, any rook move along the b file, like rook here is maybe the easiest. And then if here, there is rook b8 here. And basically, black can wait until I get the pawn to f7, and then it's a draw. And if my rook ever leaves the 7th rank, then there will be checks. So I hope that makes sense. Sometimes these concepts are still hard to understand. But in this position, my opponent did not wait with a rook. He played king h8. And this gives me the chance to play rook back to a3, threatening mate. And after rook b7, I play king g6, and the black king is really misplaced in the corner. Because I was threatening rook h3, but now I'm threatening rook to a8, and there's no defense for black, and he resigned. It was a crazy finish, a lot of plot twists towards the end. The Lee Chess chat was going crazy because there were so many shifts in the valuation. The engine graph of this game is kind of like a roller coaster. Yeah, we can see we can see towards the end here it was kind of a mess. So I'll leave a link below if you want to analyze this game on your own and try and take away some lessons from the ending. But it was a super long game. I'm really tired. I did pick up some dinner. I got some wonton soup. They messed up my order. I asked for vermicelli noodle salad, but I guess I'm having soup tonight. So thanks everyone for watching. Really appreciate it if you made it this far. Do be sure to check out my Twitch channel because for the morning games, there will be live commentary by Jonathan Trance. So it's twitch.tv/IamRosen. As usual, I'll leave all the links below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios.